Once again, we're heading back to Reddit, a place widely known as a platform where people can share their stories while hiding behind the mask of the Internet. With millions of users from all over the world, it's no surprise that you'll always come across stories that reveal the darkest sides of life and the frightening nature of humanity. Although most of these stories are often the product of Redditors' vivid imaginations, there are still a few cases where you can find photos or stories that are completely real. And once you do, they tend to leave viewers with an unsettling feeling because the line between the Internet and real life becomes disturbingly blurred. Let's Not Meet is a subreddit where people share terrifying real-life encounters with individuals they hope they'll never cross paths with again. As you browse through the posts there, you'll find stories about suspicious strangers, creepy stalkers, and even criminal cases where the victims are the very people telling the story. On the 12th of November, 2013, a post appeared on the subreddit with the title, "A True Creepy Story About a Peeping Tom." The author began by explaining his personal background. Around 2008, he was living in Brisbane on the east coast of Australia. At the time, his family had a cable TV connected in the living room, and he wanted to watch those same channels from his bedroom. However, because the cable box only supported a single TV, his family bought an inexpensive wireless audio and video transmitter so they wouldn't have to pay for another cable connection. The system consisted of 2 units. One connected to the television in the living room to transmit the video signal, and the other connected to the TV in the author's bedroom to receive it. The author also included a photo of the television in his bedroom along with the receiver so readers could better understand how everything was set up. One Saturday, he decided to install the system so he could watch TV in his room without having to sit in the living room. At the time, only he and his younger sister were home, and after trying everything he could to get it working, he realized that the transmitter in the living room hadn't even been plugged in yet. But the moment he figured that out, he was shocked when the screen on his TV suddenly filled with static before an image slowly appeared. At the time, only he and his younger sister were home, and after trying everything they could, the TV still wouldn't work. He realized that the transmitter in the living room hadn't even been plugged in. But right after he figured that out, he was stunned when the screen on his TV suddenly filled with static and an image slowly began to appear. On the screen was the image of a bed inside a dimly lit bedroom. Naturally, his first reaction was sheer terror, and he immediately ran out of the room to get his sister. At first he thought it was his own bedroom being recorded, but after calming down and taking a closer look, the 2 siblings realized it wasn't his bedroom or any room anywhere in their house. After their parents came home, the whole family started discussing what they had seen and concluded that the signal had to be coming from somewhere very close to their home, because otherwise their receiver wouldn't have been able to pick it up. At around 6 p.m., the image on the TV changed, and a man appeared on the screen. The family recognized him as one of their nearby neighbors. Everyone found it incredibly strange because they couldn't understand why this neighbor had a camera set up inside his bedroom. The receiver continued picking up the camera's signal for about another week. The author assumed that the camera might have been installed to catch someone in the middle of an affair inside the neighbor's house, but its true purpose turned out to be far more disturbing. In his post, the author explained that the neighbor's house was undergoing renovations, and construction workers were coming and going every day. One day, when he turned on his TV again, the familiar image of the bedroom appeared on the screen, but this time he saw someone who looked like a plumber walking toward the hidden camera and staring directly into the lens. The man began adjusting the camera before placing it back in its original position. The author's father later told the neighbors about the mysterious video feed coming from a bedroom, but they were completely shocked and had no idea what he was talking about. He eventually convinced the family to let him inspect their bedroom, where he discovered a hidden camera cleverly concealed inside a wall-mounted humidity sensor. They immediately called the police. The author then added one final sentence, and that was the last line of the original post. In reply to one of the comments below, he confirmed that the person responsible had been arrested. Fortunately, the peeping Tom was eventually caught, and the family was finally able to return to their normal lives. But it's terrifying to imagine what might have happened if the author had never stumbled across the hidden video feed. It's unsettling to think that you may not even be safe inside your own home, when someone could be watching your every move, even during your most private moments. About 10 years ago, another post appeared on our Let's Not Meet with the title, Female Roommate, Wanted Only. The story centered around a Craigslist rental listing that a woman named Amanda came across while searching for a place to live. It advertised a room for just $225 a month, which was unusually cheap for the area where she lived. The person who posted the ad claimed to be a female university student who wasn't comfortable living with male roommates. Amanda would have her own private bedroom and an attached bathroom. Everything about the listing, including the price, seemed perfect for her. The only thing that stood out was that the ad included just a single photo, showing only the outside of the house, with no pictures of the rooms inside, although she found that a little suspicious. Amanda didn't think much of it, and emailed the person who posted the listing. Less than an hour later, she received a reply containing all the details, along with the time to view the property. The email scheduled the viewing for 8 that evening. The sender explained that it had to be at night because they didn't get off work until late. And right at 8 p.m., Amanda arrived at the house. As she approached the front door, she noticed a handwritten note saying the front door was broken and instructing her to enter through the back instead. Amanda walked around the property, and that's when she realized just how run down the place really was. The windows were covered in dust, and the grass had grown wildly overgrown, with no signs that anyone had been taking care of the property. After she knocked on the door, an older man answered. At first, Amanda thought she had come to the wrong house, but the man explained that he was the homeowner, and that the person who posted the rental ad had asked him to show her the room. According to the original post, the man appeared to be around 40 years old, with messy hair and the unkempt appearance of someone who had been living on the streets. Although she felt uneasy, Amanda agreed to step inside. The moment she entered, she noticed that the house was completely empty, with no furniture at all, and the only light came from the kitchen. The man, claiming to be the homeowner, quickly urged her to look at the available rooms, but only allowed her to glance into each one for a few seconds. Eventually, they stopped in front of a closed door. The man explained that it was the room belonging to the woman who had posted the rental ad and said she probably wouldn't want strangers entering her private space. On their way back toward the living room, Amanda noticed a large wooden board firmly wedged in place to block what she had been told was the broken front door. Immediately, Amanda decided she needed to get out of the house. She thanked the strange man and started heading back toward the rear exit. Without warning, the man suddenly became unusually cheerful and mentioned that he had forgotten to show her the basement. He explained that it had recently been renovated and would make a great recreation room. At that moment, Amanda felt she had no real choice but to go along with him, because the man had already positioned himself between her and the back door, just as he motioned for her to head downstairs. An unrelated vehicle pulled up somewhere outside, making a noise that startled both of them. At that exact moment, Amanda received a text message on her phone. She immediately pretended it was a phone call and made up a story about a friend waiting outside to pick her up. Amanda quickly apologized and left through the back door. The moment she got outside, she sprinted as fast as she could toward her car, which was parked a short distance away. After making it home, Amanda called the police and reported everything that had happened. A short time later, she discovered that the house had actually been seized by the authorities more than 6 months earlier. It had been completely abandoned ever since, and there had never been a room available for rent. The room the man refused to show her turned out to be the space where he had been secretly living. The original poster concluded the story by saying, "It's terrifying to imagine what might have happened if Amanda had actually followed him into that basement." According to the author, the police have never been able to locate the man. On the 4th of June 2020, an anonymous user made a strange post on the RBI subreddit, a community whose name is a play on the FBI, where users work together to investigate mysteries and search for answers to unexplained events and unsolved cases. The post was titled, Its contents were as follows. The post quickly attracted a huge number of Reddit users who carefully examined every detail of the photograph in an attempt to understand what they were looking at. The first thing they did was restore and enhance the image to make it clearer. Based on an enhanced version created by the user Anxious Potato, it became much easier to see that on the right side of the image there was a man with both of his arms positioned behind his back. It appeared that his legs had been bound with duct tape, and he seemed to be sitting inside a narrow drainage ditch. His facial expression suggested he was in serious distress, with a clearly visible look of pain. The second person, on the left side of the image, couldn't be identified clearly, but after the restoration, it appeared that this person had also been completely restrained with duct tape and was likely lying face down in the water with their hands bound behind their back. The other two individuals were standing on the bank, visible only as shadows in the photograph. One of them, standing on the right side of the frame, appeared to be walking toward a vehicle while carrying something in one hand. Many Reddit users believed that the shadow of the object looked very much like a sawed-off shotgun. The final shadow, near the lower left corner of the image, was small and faint, but many people believed it was the top of a fourth person's head. Because of the camera angle and the hazy layer covering the photograph, many believed the mysterious image had been taken from inside a vehicle through its window. So, what was the real purpose of this disturbing photograph? Did it capture the final moments of two unfortunate victims, or was it simply an elaborate hoax created to frighten people? While many users continued debating the image's true meaning, some Redditors discovered a possible connection between the people in the photograph and a real missing persons case. The missing man was Teddy Franks, who disappeared without a trace in 1986 from Middletown, Ohio. The case unfolded like this. On the afternoon of the 1st of September, 1986, Teddy argued with his wife, stormed out of the house, and went to see his sister, Michelle Lowry. After the two met, Michelle drove Teddy to a nearby convenience store to buy cigarettes, and when they arrived, Teddy suddenly spotted someone and immediately became terrified. Before Michelle even had a chance to stop the car, Teddy threw the door open, ran toward a secluded area off the road, and disappeared. From that day forward, no one ever saw the young man again. Although Teddy is still officially listed as a missing person, many of his family members have come to accept the heartbreaking reality that he is most likely dead. But what does Teddy Franks have to do with this mysterious photograph? Ever since the image first appeared on the internet, it has circulated across much of the United States, and after Teddy's family eventually saw it, Michelle Lowry believed that the clothing worn by the man sitting in the photograph closely matched what Teddy had been wearing on the day he disappeared. Based on the clothing, the hairstyle, and even the film quality and color of the image, many people concluded that it was taken sometime during the 1970s or 1980s, which closely matched the time of Teddy's disappearance. This eerie coincidence became so well known that it was even featured by an American television news station. Even Teddy's own family couldn't say with certainty that the man in the photograph was him, but like many other Reddit users, they admitted that the image gave them a deeply disturbing feeling. But did the photograph really capture a horrifying moment from real life? Many people believe the image is actually nothing more than a still frame from the 1972 film Deliverance, which was released in 1972, roughly around the same period when the photograph appears to have been taken. The film follows a group of men on a wilderness adventure through the forests of Georgia, where a series of horrific events unfolds. Because of several violent scenes, along with the resemblance between one of the people in the photograph and the film's lead actor, Jon Voight, many Redditors became convinced that the image was simply a scene from the movie. However, there isn't a single scene in Deliverance that actually resembles this bizarre photograph, and based on the film's storyline, the mysterious image doesn't match its plot in any way. With so little known about the photograph and such uncertain origins, perhaps it was simply destined that the identities of the people in the image, along with the true story behind it, would remain a mystery forever.